What's up, mob? Hey, how we doing? Man, I am still reeling from the Triple Crown action. Every race was awesome. The way it played out was awesome. Just for the record, I still would like for each race winner to get a championship point because I feel like it's so hard to win one of those legs of the race. I think that would actually just it wouldn't change anything. You'd still have the overalls and stuff, but it would just give a little bonus, just one championship point to the winners of each of the three legs. And I think it would give some extra incentive, and it would give guys, a reason for going out there, even though they're kind of where they're at. Levi Kitchen is looking like the guy in the 250 class. RJ's strong, but it's the same RJ. And there's so many good guys in the 250 class, but one of them isn't Joe Shimoda, and it's surprising. But let's get into all that and more.
You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
So if I told you guys the team, Honda, that dominated everything last year with Jet and Hunter, except for the Super Motocross Championship, that's the only championship they didn't bring in the 250 class, would have one podium between 250 and 450 in 4 rounds, you'd be like, no, they'll have more than that. They got Jet, Hunter, and Joe, who's the championship favorite in the West. That's where we stood 2 weeks out from the opener. Right now, it's not looking good. Jet's having his issues. He'll get it together. Hunter, I don't know. He's not far from where I kind of expected him to be. But Joe Shimoda, Joe ended last year really fast. And I figured moving to Honda, and I did a video about this, I don't think the Honda is as good as the Kawasaki. And I think the Lawrence brothers kind of covered for that 250 because they were so good. But Joe is just getting on there, and I don't know, and his confidence is looking shaken. He's not a guy getting starts. Is he questioning whether he should have gone there? Should he have stayed on the pro circuit bike that he looked so comfortable on towards the end of last year? I know he hated it at the beginning of the year, but by the end of the year, they worked it out. So is there any regrets there? I don't know, but Honda cannot be happy. They hired Joe for one reason, to win. They know that bike can win. It won last year. Whether it's not as good as the Kawasaki or not shouldn't matter. And that's what they're going to go back to is it won last year. Why can't you win this year? And he hasn't even got a podium. And worse than that, he hasn't looked like a guy who could get a podium, who's on the top. Yes, he had a couple good runs in the motos where he came from behind and got like a third. And that was probably his best ride of the year. But that's not what he's hired for. This guy is hired and paid to be a podium threat week in and week out and battle for wins. A bad night for Joe Shimoda should be a third place. It shouldn't be what it is right now. And I understand 2 of those were mutters, and you can kind of throw those out. But in the dry, he hasn't shown anything. I haven't seen him in practice and been like, oh yeah, Joe looking good. I just haven't had any of those moments, and it's got to be getting frustrating for them. Another thing Joe did that kind of annoyed me is in the Triple Crown races, he changed gear every single race, and it drove me bananas. I get frustrated enough with the teams that make all their guys look the same. Shout out to Club MX. I love what they do. They have their guys wear the same brand of gear, same helmet, same bike, but they wear different colors. So I know which one's which quickly. Yes, if I look really close, I can always tell who it is. But when there's a mayhem of 22 riders heading into a first turn, trying to spot who's who, it gets kind of difficult. But throughout the day, you get used to what gear they were wearing, and you kind of look for it. Like Cooper Webb in that bright yellow gear, so easy to spot. Loved it. But Joe changing every time was really confusing. It almost made him invisible on the night. Well, that, and he rode around the back of the pack for most of the evening. But please don't do that, guys. And like I said, if you could just do, even for like Star Yamaha, how about you guys have a specific rider, wear the same gear, but one of you wear a different color boot at every round. Just something to help us determine who the guys are. It would help. And like I say, it's not a big deal, but it's something I would appreciate. Levi Kitchen is looking so comfortable on the bike that Joe just left. So clearly the Kawasaki is awesome. It's kind of hard to say it's not. I mean, with the results that Joe had last year and how awesome. Levi looks like a guy who's going to win the championship this year. He's up there consistently. He doesn't look like he's on edge. He hasn't made any mistakes. The one criticism I have of him is, come on, man. In that second race, when you get RJ on the outside like that, how do you lay up? How do you not give him a little bit more and win that race? It didn't end up costing him, But those are the types of things, if it was the other way around, RJ would have slammed him. Jordan would have slammed him. Thrasher would have slammed him. But for some reason, sometimes I wonder about Levi's killer instinct. Is he that next level? And I don't think it's going to affect him because he's so good in this 250 class. But if he does win the championship and go up to that 450 class, that killer instinct, he's going to get eaten up. So I watched Talon Hawkins. He looked awesome out there. Talon Hawkins was riding like the talent that I know he is up until the second race. And man, he wiped out. I hope he's okay. I sent him a message. I haven't heard back yet, but I'm hoping Talon's okay. I mean, he got up wobbling. I mean, he clearly was concussed. So with that, I got to go into the, head over to Coach Rob's store. Get yourself some concussion supplements. He's got a vitamin pack specifically designed for concussions, and it will help you recover faster. And he's also got some for immune system. So head over to CoachRobStore.com. If you want your garage to look badass, hit up Epic Garage Designs. I mean, this stuff looks so badass. It's reasonably priced. Hit up EpicGarageDesigns.com. RJ Hampshire in the first round looked like a new guy. He was riding smooth. He was riding smart. And he said in the post-race interview that he went there not necessarily to win, but to just ride good, get a podium, and get some points. And he dominated. And that he hasn't done that since then. At the Triple Crown, he rode really good in that second one, and he got the win. But it's because Levi laid up. He shouldn't have got that win. Levi should have taken that win. But he rode really good in the first one, reeled him in. But the wild RJ is back in that third main. And the thing that RJ does that scares me so much is on a prepped track when there's not a lot of cups and the whoops and ruts all over, this dude is fast. And that loose, just go anywhere style works really, really well. But as the track breaks down and it gets gnarly, he has more of those moments where he just gets sketchy and it's just terrifying. And of course, it bit him in the third one. He still ended up second overall, and there's a really good chance he still wins this title. But man, if he could just harness what he had at A1, where you tone it down just a touch, he's actually a faster and better rider when he does that. Jordan Smith had a rough night. Jordan Smith came in with the red plate, looked pretty good, but he just seems to be a fraction off of RJ, Levi, and Thrasher. Can he win this? Absolutely. I don't know that he will. He's going to have to find a little bit more speed somewhere because I don't think he can just keep this pace up and get ahead of these guys. So I need for him to actually get this done and win that title. I think he's got to find just a touch more speed. Nate Thrasher, on the other hand, even though he's pretty far down in points, this guy's good. Let's not forget, this guy last year, before his horrendous injuries at the Atlanta Supercross, he was the guy who was literally battling Hunter and giving Hunter everything he asked for. This guy's tough as nails. He looks really grumpy on the podium, which I kind of like it. Maybe that's who he is. But I love Thrasher's tough as nails. And these guys better be careful because now he's got his confidence. Now they get 1 week off. They go to Glendale. I think they do Glendale and then one of the Texas rounds. And then they get another break. Thrasher's just going to get stronger. So he could go on a run at the end of this thing and make it exciting. So I wouldn't write him off for the championship just yet because he could absolutely turn into the guy pretty quickly. Man, Phil Nicoletti. First off, thank you to Club MX. I love what you guys do with the gear. I love how you guys put both your riders in similar gear but different colors so I can tell them apart. Phil rode awesome. And heading into the third main event, he was sitting third overall. Like he was on the podium and he had a really rough third race. But man, he's just been flirting with a podium and that's just eluding him. I have to hope that he gets it eventually. And I don't know if he will, but dang, I love having Phil out there. And I love seeing those leader lights on his bike because he's kind of the innovator of that. He's the one that did it last year when they just tested him out and he actually got the lead. So good on Phil Nicoletti. And that was awesome. Ride strapped. Get your Ride Strap goggles. It's an election year. We got the Let's Go Brandon, Red Pill t-shirts, all sorts of cool stuff. Head over to ridestrap.com. And Chris was giving away stuff to privateers, and we'll have a video coming out with that later this week. If you're shipping anything, use Precision Transport. Precision Transport is less money than FedEx, and they still believe in customer service. So check out pretransport.com. Now to the other Club MX riders of Garrett Marchbanks. He is one of my favorite guys, and I always cheer for Garrett. We both have Utah roots. I can't help it. And he's a great kid. I really, really like him. And I said coming into the season, I thought it was a mistake to put him on the 250. After those two mud races, it was looking like I was wrong. He got 2 podiums in a row. But seeing him in Anaheim on a dry, regular Supercross track, he is so talented. He absolutely has the talent to be a winning, Supercross rider or the top 3, but you can't spot 30 pounds to these guys. 30 pounds is, what, a tenth of a second a lap? And that's about all he's off, and that's going to put him in about 5th place. He just doesn't quite have it. I really want to see him on a 450. I hope he rides it on the 450 when they go east, because I truly believe the talent transfers and he loses that weight disadvantage when he goes to the 450. And these are things I've told him over and over. And the Club MX team, it was, like I said, at the first round, I went to Mike Bonacci and said, listen, why is he on this? And he just asked Garrett. He's the one that wanted to do it. So anyway, Garrett, I did see a funny moment though. I don't know, I didn't see what happened, but clearly Hunter Yoder, who's an absolute savage out there and so fun to watch, put him on the ground. Garrett jumps up and fires his goggles at him. That was hilarious. I did enjoy the emotion there. And Hunter Yoder, I mean, he's a spark plug out there. He's having fun, waving to the crowd, throwing whips. And after the second qualifying session, just after the race, Anthony Bourdon, who looked really good, rolls over one of the jumps when they were just kind of riding off the track and roosts him right in the face. Of course, Yoder flipped him off. It was pretty funny, but he is just a fun guy to watch. So if you want if you're at the race, he doesn't get a ton of TV time, but if you're at the race, watch Hunter Yoder. You're guaranteed to see something exciting. And speaking of Anthony Bourdon, he's for real. This guy is consistently up there battling in the top 5 on a Suzuki. And while that Bar X team has done miracles with that Suzuki, let's not forget, that 250 Suzuki is not on the same level. I don't care what they've done to it, unless they've replaced it with a different bike and put yellow plastic on it. The Suzuki is a little bit not as good as the other bikes, especially in the 250 class. But Anthony is for real, and I'm excited to see as he improves and kind of believes he can be up there, which he already does. I mean, he has a mentality, and this guy fights for every position and rides really good. So I like watching this French guy. Billy Laninovich, yes, the 40-year-old who started racing Supercross in 2001. The first time I saw Billy Laninovich was the inaugural U.S. Open. You know, the one that Damon Huffman won, Robbie Renard won the first night, and, Carmichael was his 250 debut. It was crazy. They had this, the mini race. This is like the first real big one that I've seen on a Supercross track where they brought out the 85s. They had a lot of really good 85 riders. But what I remembered about Laninovich is like for 3rd or 4th place over the finish line double, he just sent it and actually crashed and unfortunately broke his leg. But I was like, wow, that kid went for it. But to see him come back after being off the bike, they said, for 10 years, but it's crazy watching him in practice, seeing him in those difficult whoops and just seeing him track it. Laninovich is awesome. And that's a great story and good for the guys at Team Faith. I know they've been working really hard. They've got him, and then they've got Robert Haley, tallest rider in Supercross at 6'7". So they're working hard down there at Team Faith. I was glad to see them get in the main event. So remember, I got a futures video coming probably tomorrow or Wednesday. And then we got the live show on Friday night, live prediction show. And we got to check in with Nick Laurie. He's been out racing the Indian Supercross Series. I believe he got 12th. But we'll check in with Nick if we can, because he's flying back from India, and then he's also racing Detroit in the East class. So I don't know if we'll be able to catch up with Nick or not, but we'll try. And then that's it, guys. Remember, if you need a real estate agent, I'm your guy.